Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime. Welcome back to Dark Poutine. I am Mike Brown, and I see somebody who's downtown in Vancouver.
That's me. It's Matthew.
How are you, Matthew?
I am fine. How are you, Michael?
You are fine. Some friends of mine, when somebody says they're fine, it means they're effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Yeah, but the people that always say that, I'm like, are you so cynical and your brain is so fucked up that I can't just be fine?
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like whenever somebody says that to me, people say that to me too. I'm like, yeah, but I am fine. So you got to kind of take an inventory of yourself. Every time somebody says they're fine, that's what you say.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a personal inventory, right?
Oh, it's like, whoa.
You don't need to take mine. I'm working on that.
I'm good. You do you.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the Dark Poutine podcast are solely those of the producer and do not necessarily represent those of Curious Cast, its affiliate, Global News, nor their parent company, Chorus Entertainment.
Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish. Listener discretion is strongly advised. We're not experts on the topics we present, nor are we journalists. We're two ordinary Canadian schmucks chatting about crime and the dark side of history. Let's get to it. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some Dark Poutine.
You are responsible for obtaining and maintaining at your own cost all equipment needed to listen to Dark Poutine. Dark Poutine can be addictive. Side effects may include, but not be limited to, pausing and questioning the system, elevated heart rate, pondering humanity, odd looks from colleagues as you laugh out loud at work, family members not into true crime worrying about you. Positive side effects may include some perspectives and opinions that you disagree with, as well as some wokeness and empathy. If you don't think Dark Poutine is for you, consult your doctor immediately.
In 2002, Brandon, Manitoba was rocked by the disappearance of Erin Chorney, a feisty and energetic teenager with her whole life ahead of her. What began as a simple outing, Erin telling her mother she'd be back in an hour, turned into a parent's worst nightmare when she never returned home. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the community of Brandon rallied around the Chorney family, desperately seeking answers. The truth behind Erin's disappearance would only come to light through one of Canada's most contentious investigative techniques. You guessed it, Mr. Big. The case led investigators down a dark path, culminating in a shocking confession and a grim discovery that would forever change the lives of those involved. Join us as we explore the details of this heart-wrenching case, examining the investigation that followed, the controversial methods employed by law enforcement, and the lasting impact on a community forever changed by tragedy. This is Dark Poutine episode 344, Buried Evidence, the murder of Erin Chorney. Brandon is a city nestled in the southeastern corner of the province of Manitoba, situated on the banks of the Assiniboine River. Located approximately 214 kilometers west of Winnipeg, Brandon is the second largest city in Manitoba and the primary hub for trade and commerce in the western region. Indigenous peoples, including the Sioux, Bungays, Yellowquills, and Birdtails, originally inhabited the area that would become Brandon. European settlement began in the late 1870s, with the city officially founded in 1881 after the arrival of the Canadian Pacific Railway. Brandon's name originates from the Blue Hills south of town, named after a Hudson's Bay trading post called Brandon House. Brandon's rapid growth was nothing short of remarkable, and within a year of its selection as a town site, in May of 1881, it had attracted so many settlers that it was incorporated as a city in 1882. This swift development earned Brandon the nickname Wonder City of the Northwest due to its suddenness of its birth. The city's strategic location along the CPR and later on the Trans-Canada Highway solidified its importance as a regional center. Brandon quickly became known as the Wheat City of Canada, processing flour and other agricultural products. Over time, it developed into a diverse economic center, hosting industries such as meat processing, fertilizer production, and petroleum product manufacturing. While Brandon's history is primarily one of progress and development, like many frontier towns, it experienced its share of lawlessness and crime during its early years. However, the establishment of formal law enforcement and judicial systems came quickly. In 1883, just 1 year after the city's incorporation, the Brandon Courthouse and jail were built. This building initially served as the courthouse for the entire area before being remodeled in 1910 to function solely as a jail. It continued to operate as a detention center until 1979. As Brandon grew and matured, it developed the institution's characteristic of a thriving city. These included Brandon University, which has its roots in Brandon College, founded in 1899, and various cultural and recreational facilities. Brandon remains an essential center in Manitoba, balancing its rich historical legacy with ongoing development and growth. Erin Chorney called Brandon home. She was born there on September 30th, 1983, to parents Darcy and Debbie Chorney. As the eldest of 3 children, Erin grew up to be a caring and protective older sister to her younger siblings Ryan and Leslie. Erin's vibrant personality and kind nature were evident from an early age, making her a beloved figure among family and friends. Growing up in Brandon, Erin's childhood was filled with typical Canadian pastimes and adventures. She spent countless hours outdoors, her bicycle becoming an extension of herself as she explored the neighborhood with boundless energy. Summers were marked by family camping trips and fishing expeditions, where Erin's whimsical side shone through as she playfully named each fish they caught. These experiences fostered her deep appreciation for nature, with daffodils becoming her favorite flower, symbolizing the renewal and hope she found in the natural world. Erin's creativity and imagination were cornerstones of her character. As a young girl, she would immerse herself in imaginative play, bringing her Barbie dolls to life and constructing elaborate worlds with Lego bricks. Her love for storytelling extended beyond playtime as she developed a passion for reading and writing. Erin's notebooks were filled with original short stories and heartfelt poetry, dreams of one day publishing a book taking root in her aspirations.
You know, there's something about the innocence and the creativity of childhood. So many times I wish I could have preserved that sort of unfiltered, imaginative lens of life that my childhood was as well, right? Because didn't the world feel boundless when you were a kid? And there's just curiosity and joy and wonder and authenticity. And somehow that sort of smashed out of us over time.
Well, as the responsibilities of adulthood sort of crowd in, you know, how am I going to pay the rent? What's around the corner? The tax man wants their money, like all of that kind of stuff.
But why does that kill like curiosity and wonder, you know?
Good question.
Because all those things will always be there, but you know, if you can just stay like the whole stay curious thing. I mean, I think I've been like that all my life, just digging into stuff.
Yeah, me too. But Erin and I were different in this way. In school, she proved to be a diligent and capable student. I was not. Her athletic abilities matched her academic prowess as she enthusiastically participated in various sports. Racquetball courts, baseball diamonds, and volleyball nets became stages for Erin to showcase her competitive spirit and teamwork skills. These activities not only kept her physically active, but also helped forge lasting friendships and taught her valuable life lessons about perseverance and collaboration. As Erin matured into her teenage years, her empathetic nature became increasingly apparent. She had an innate ability to connect with others, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to lean on for friends in need. This natural inclination to help others led Erin to contemplate a future career as a counselor, a path that seemed perfectly aligned with her compassionate personality. Music played a significant role in Erin's life, serving as a source of joy and a means of self-expression. She often filled the Chorney household with her melodious voice, singing along to her favorite tunes and creating a warm and lively atmosphere. Her love for music was intertwined with her infectious laughter and keen sense of humor, making her presence a source of light and happiness for those around her. Even though she liked to party with friends, she was responsible and hardworking with a part-time job to earn money at a local dry cleaner's. In many ways, she was a typical teenager. She enjoyed the social scene, thriving in activities with friends at movie theaters and shopping malls, and staying connected through phone calls and texts. Outgoing and friendly, she needed to fit in and stay connected. She, like many teens, was navigating her struggles and occasional rebelliousness, eager to spend time with friends and finding herself a bit more focused on her social life. Still, despite these pulls toward independence, Erin was deeply family-oriented. Erin's family was the cornerstone of her world, and she was unhappy that her parents had recently split up. She spent time between her mom's and dad's homes and loved them very much. Holiday celebrations and family gatherings were occasions she cherished, reveling in the warmth of her loved one's company. These moments, filled with laughter, shared meals, and the creation of lasting memories, reinforced the strong bonds within the Chorney family, despite the struggles of a fresh separation.
I was mixing up the dates here in my head. So when you were reading, I was thinking that this case was in the 80s because, she was born in the 80s, right?
Right.
So, and I was thinking, oh yeah, in the 80s, more people were divorced, right? And that it rarely happened back then. But actually, then I was like, am I right? The last statistics in 2020, lowest divorce rate since 1973. So it's actually been divorce has been downward since 1973. But that being said, though, marriage has decreased. Right? So that's probably why people are living together.
Right.
An interesting fact, highest rates of divorce, lesbian couples. After that, straight couples. Lowest divorce rates, gay men.
Because you guys have all the money.
No, it's because I hate to be generalist about this. Men tend not to want to jump in that fast, and so when we do, we're sure, right?
Well, there you go. Fair enough. Justin seems like a good guy anyway. So
yeah. Well, at this stage in life, it's just too late, isn't it, to change it?
It's like what Mom always says. I say, "How do you guys stay together?" And she says, well, no one else would want either of us, so...
At this point.
Erin's mom, Debbie, last saw her on April 21st, 2002. Erin had come to the apartment that day, staying over for a night away from her dad's place where she was currently living. It had been a warm, family-oriented evening. They shared a pleasant supper. Erin and her 9-year-old sister Leslie spent quality time together and watched Karate Kid 3. Erin appeared genuinely happy to be with her family, embracing the closeness of the evening. At around 7 o'clock, Erin answered the phone and spoke to someone. Her mood changed. She told her mom she was heading out for coffee with a friend. There was nothing particularly unusual about her plans. She seemed to be in a good mood, hadn't dressed up or put on makeup, and showed no signs of preparing for a night out. Debbie assumed she was going to spend time with her father. According to Mike McIntyre's book, To the Grave, Erin abruptly rushed out the door of her mom's second-floor apartment, telling her mother she was going for coffee and would return in an hour or so. Unknown to her sister, little Leslie followed Erin downstairs and watched her heading toward a beige four-door sedan parked nearby. Erin caught sight of Leslie watching her from inside the building's lobby and quickly turned back, hugging her little sister and saying, "I love you." She ran to the waiting car and hopped into the back seat. 2 people were in the front, but Leslie didn't know who. When Erin failed to return that evening, her mother was initially disappointed, but not overly concerned. Erin had occasionally stayed out with friends and sometimes gone to spontaneous gatherings. It wasn't entirely unusual for her to lose track of time and fail to come home when she was due, so the family didn't initially worry. Erin was a social butterfly who loved to be around people and often found herself at the center of attention at parties where alcohol and drugs were sometimes present. To some of her friends, it seemed, in some ways, she was trying to hide her personal struggles, perhaps the pain stemming from her parents' separation, which had hit her hard. Typically, Erin would call her parents if she planned to stay out late, but that night, no call came. Growing increasingly uneasy, her family began calling her friends in hopes of finding Erin. They reached out to several people she often spent time with, but no one had seen her, and their initial worry began to deepen. The Chorneys tried to remain calm, reminding themselves that Erin had disappeared for a few days in the past. Yet as more time passed, their concern became a gnawing dread that something was wrong. Erin had never gone so long without calling to tell them she was safe. When the days stretched into an entire week with no word, Debbie and her loved ones finally decided to involve the police, fearing the worst, but hoping for answers.
Yeah, I always hate this part of the cases that we tell.
Yeah.
Because I feel it. Imagine that dread. Like somebody you love and see every day, your child, whatever, is gone. Like, honestly, Mike, how do you sleep? How do you eat? How do you eventually go back to work? How do you do anything? Yeah. Like, if Justin was just missing, like, how would I do anything?
I don't know.
You know?
That's
like, honestly,
question.
I'm like, if Justin just went missing, like, I don't I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I could go on with regular life. When
somebody's sick, as I'm seeing now back home, that's when friends step in and tend to help too. So
yeah, but you're no replacement for Justin, Mike.
No. No, I am definitely not. No. Erin's family approached the Brandon Police Service, who promptly opened a missing persons case. Erin's information was added to a national database, and a press release with her photograph was circulated, appealing for public assistance. Dallas Lockhart was assigned as the lead investigator and immediately began questioning Erin's friends and acquaintances, starting with her family, to gather insights into her behavior and habits. Initially, there were speculations that Erin might have left Brandon voluntarily, perhaps on a binge or with a new acquaintance. However, Lockhart and his team knew that speaking with those closest to her would offer the most reliable information. Carla DeJong, one of Erin's oldest friends, had known her since they were both 14-year-old patients in a treatment center for depression. Their shared struggles had created a deep bond, and they stayed close through the years, supporting each other through tough times. Carla recalled times when Erin had been her rock, like when she discovered she was pregnant, and Erin comforted her through the difficult news. Erin was known for her loyalty, always supporting her friends and going to great lengths to help those she cared about. Just 2 days before her disappearance, she visited Carla to meet her son, showing genuine affection for the baby and leaving a lasting impression. Carla still regretted not encouraging Erin to stay that night. As the days turned into weeks with no sign of the vibrant 18-year-old, the community rallied around her family, organizing search parties and plastering the area with missing person posters. As the investigation continued, attention turned to Erin's on and off again boyfriend, 22-year-old Michael Bridges, who confirmed she had been at his home on April 21st, the night she vanished. Their relationship had been problematic, to say the least. Their relationship had been violent at times, and Erin had recently sought help from police, which resulted in charges against Bridges for violence on Erin. Bridges insisted in his interview that this was in the past, that they'd gotten over things. Bridges said they spent the evening together, sharing affectionate moments before she announced her intention to visit another friend. Bridges claimed that was the last time he saw her, as she reportedly left his home around 11:30 p.m. and had not been heard from since. Despite these interviews, investigators were no closer to understanding Erin's whereabouts. Frustrated and at a standstill, Erin's parents made a public appeal, appearing in a televised press conference across Canada to plead for any information that could bring their daughter home. However, with few leads and no information, the search for Erin remained at an impasse, leaving her family and the police uncertain of the next steps.
You know, so often we see Mr. Big cases become Mr. Big cases, and I look at the case that we're telling, and I think they didn't really try hard at the beginning. So, you know, if I were the police, I would do a pretty hard focus from day one on the boyfriend, only because statistically the numbers shows usually the partner.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no way I'd leave the boyfriend at his word after one interview. Right?
No.
I would keep on going in different angles, and I'd be all over, you know, collecting evidence, trying to find stuff, really focused to get rid of him first as a suspect, because statistically he's more likely to be the guy. Yep. Right? But they are so often to kind of do these tertiary interviews, and it's like, oh, we haven't found anything else, and so let's, like, 4 years later do Mr. Big. Right?
Well, all we know is what is being told publicly. What the police talk about between themselves when the notepads are down and the pencils are down and all of that kind of thing is another thing. So it's what they have against the guy.
All well and good, but how many years did this drag on? And they had to do a massive couple. Mr. Big, right? It's like, come on. I think you can knuckle down at the beginning and get these guys.
Maybe.
Matthew says from his throne in his castle.
Well, there are lots of other countries in which Mr. Big is not allowed, and they do tend to have murder convictions. Shortly after Erin's family's heartfelt appeal, an alarming report emerged from 2 local students who claimed to have seen something suspicious near their school just days after Erin's disappearance. While playing behind a church, the children believed that they had stumbled upon a body wrapped in a blanket with hair visibly sticking out. Terrified, they ran back to school and shared their story with a teacher who informed the children's parents. The parents in turn contacted police. However, when authorities arrived at the scene, the blanket and any other evidence had vanished, leading the police to conclude that the sighting was a false alarm. Yet this wasn't the only unsettling report. The press conference had ignited public interest, and tips began to pour in from across the country, with rumors placing Erin everywhere, from the east and west coasts of Canada to the United States. Some speculated she had joined a street gang, while others suggested she was involved in Toronto's sex trade. Although none of these leads proved credible, police were compelled to follow each one, expending vast resources at a time when they needed every available officer to focus on finding Erin Chorney. This relentless flood of unverified tips wore on the Chorney family, leaving them uncertain of who or what to believe. In the end, the rumors led nowhere. Despite the extensive search, no viable lead emerged. Investigators began to wonder if the truth of Erin's disappearance was closer than they had initially realized. One fact remained constant. Michael Bridges, Erin's former boyfriend, was the last known person to have been with her before she vanished. This, coupled with the charges she had filed against him, prompted a closer look at Bridges, raising new concerns among everyone involved in the case. More after a quick break. And we're back. Matthew, thoughts so far? I think I know where you're going to go with this.
Yeah, from the very beginning, I'm like, boyfriend did it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, even before I went to the rest of the script, I'm like, and I don't think I'm doing a shock. He's ruining the end of this story. 100%
No.
Boyfriend did it. Come on, let's figure out how he was caught now.
Okay. Including what they already knew, what the cops heard from Erin's friends about Michael Bridges was nothing short of disturbing. Michael Bridges cultivated an image as a charismatic ladies' man, though this facade masked troubling behaviors that would later come to light. Those close to Erin saw through this carefully constructed persona, recognizing in Bridges the hallmarks of an abusive personality. His controlling nature manifested in attempts to isolate Erin, restricting her social circle and monitoring her interactions with others. Despite the mounting concerns of her friends and their attempts to intervene, Erin remained entangled in the relationship. A particularly chilling incident that winter had served as a stark warning sign of Bridges' volatile nature. During one particularly telling incident, Michael Bridges had thrown Erin out of the house underdressed for the freezing temperatures, leaving her to seek assistance from a payphone in the bitter cold. This event left an indelible impression on her friends, heightening their fears for her well-being. The situation took a dramatic turn for the worse on March 10, 2002, approximately 1 month before Erin's disappearance, and what began as a social gathering involving drinks at Bridges' residence escalated into violence when a disagreement triggered an explosive response from Michael Bridges. He physically assaulted Erin, grabbing her by the throat and forcing her against a wall. When Erin's friend attempted to intervene by jumping onto Bridges' back, he hurled her across the room before returning his attention to Erin. Only the intervention of Bridges' mother brought the assault to an end, after which she drove both women to safety at Erin's home. As investigators delved deeper into the case following Erin's disappearance, a disturbing pattern emerged through interviews with her friends and family. Bridges' behavior during police questioning raised red flags, his responses appeared rehearsed, and his denials of involvement lacked emotional authenticity, accompanied by inconsistent body language that attracted the attention of experienced detectives.
See, so I would love to know why they didn't do more there and then, or weren't able. So, I can piss on them, right? But, maybe they didn't have the evidence or whatever, but it's kind of like, I'm just like, really, guys? Like, you couldn't have gone harder at the beginning? Instead, this toodles along for years with the family in pain, and then you eventually do a Mr. Big. Like, go in strong and figure it out. Come on.
The timeline leading up to Erin's disappearance revealed crucial details through the testimony of Bridges' friend Bountivy Sengman. Despite Erin's apparent intention to end the relationship weeks earlier, Bridges had persisted in his pursuit of contact, often using Sengman as an intermediary. On the day Erin vanished, Sengman became an unwilling participant in events that would later prove significant. After facilitating communication between Michael Bridges and Erin Chorney, during which he overheard an argument, Sengman accompanied Bridges to collect Erin from her mother's house. The evening turned ominous when Bridges inexplicably dismissed Sengman, leaving Erin alone in Michael Bridges' vehicle. This was the last time anyone other than Michael Bridges saw Erin Chorney alive. The investigation gained momentum when Sengman passed a polygraph examination regarding his account of events. Bridges' subsequent refusal to undergo similar testing intensified law enforcement's suspicions. In response, authorities launched a covert operation implementing surveillance measures, including phone taps and conducting thorough searches of the areas surrounding Bridges' residence, all to uncover evidence that might shed light on the circumstances of Erin's disappearance. As the investigation progressed, detectives began to piece together a troubling picture of Erin's relationship with her ex-boyfriend, Michael Bridges. Friends and family reported that the couple's relationship had been volatile, as we mentioned, marked by periods of intense conflict followed by reconciliation. The revelation that Bridges had been charged with assaulting Erin just weeks before her disappearance cast a dark shadow over the case.
Wouldn't they have all been saying that he did it right from the beginning?
Well, from what I read, they believed that he did it, but they didn't have the evidence.
Right. And how do I say this?
You're frustrated.
Yeah, I wish the friends would have told more people about what was happening in the relationship somehow.
Sure.
Right? Like, just to protect her. Like, the good thing is, Erin wasn't living with him. She was with their parents. Right? Like, I kind of wish and I can't blame them because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's all very complicated of why people keep going back, etc. But just so often I'm like, oh, if they had been nabbed early and charged with something, maybe it would have stopped. It's just it's so sad. So sad that it happens to nice women like Erin,
Yeah.
It's just, and it's very complex, and, I get it. There's a whole psychology behind it, but I'm the type of guy that would go over and beat him up if Erin was my friend and I heard about it.
In June 2002, investigators decided to seize Bridges' family station wagon, making it look like a theft. This covert operation was conducted with utmost discretion to avoid tipping off their prime suspect. The forensic team worked tirelessly, employing cutting-edge techniques to search for microscopic evidence. They used specialized lights to detect bodily fluids, collected soil samples, and meticulously combed through the vehicle's interior. Despite their efforts, the car yielded no concrete evidence linking Bridges to Erin's disappearance. So they're trying, Matthew. They're trying.
Okay, another thing here, though, right? It's just like, I've watched a few documentaries.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, by the way.
I know. I've watched a few My husband said the other day, he's like, because we've watched so many cases, he's from the UK, he's like, do the police here, know what they're doing? That's what my husband said. He doesn't listen to our show. He doesn't know my opinions.
Right.
He just said that. And, for example, how can they steal his car in a covert operation? What about warrants? What about due process?
Well, they do have a warrant. They did have a warrant.
Then why steal the car?
Because they don't want to tip him off that they're on to him.
So judges can sign warrants saying, steal their car and make it look...
For a surreptitious warrant, yeah.
It's so dodgy. All of this is so dodgy.
It really is. I can't play devil's advocate all the time, but you're right. It really is.
Honestly, the RCMP just come off as a bunch of cowboys. They really do. And so do the bloody judges who allowed this shit. It's like, come on, people. Honestly, Mike, this stuff can slip... Right, great. You got a warrant, steal, it just slips downhill, right? It's just so bad.
A subsequent search of Michael Bridges' residence was equally thorough. Investigators employed luminol and other chemical tests to detect traces of blood that might have been cleaned up. They collected fibers, hairs, and other potential trace evidence. The discovery of what appeared to be bloodstains on a mattress finally seemed like a breakthrough. Investigators were disappointed when the lab tests revealed it to be a false positive. A detailed account of his last night with Erin, found by investigators in his home, raised suspicions about whether Michael Bridges was attempting to keep his story straight or if he had prepared answers in anticipation of police questioning. This discovery, while not concrete evidence, further cemented Bridges' status as the prime suspect in the eyes of law enforcement. As months passed without significant leads, the case began to grow cold. The community's initial enthusiasm began to wane, though Erin's family remained steadfast in their determination to find answers. However, a series of mysterious letters emerged, reigniting public interest in the case. The first letter delivered to the Chorney family was particularly chilling. Its references to Erin's beauty and the claims of attempting to exhume her body from frozen ground painted a gruesome picture that haunted Erin's loved ones. The second letter, found in a public restroom, added another layer of complexity to the case. Its tone of remorse and mention of a friend's advice to surrender tantalized investigators with the possibility that the writer might eventually come forward. Forensic analysis of the letters proved frustrating for investigators. The writer had taken extreme precautions, leaving no fingerprints, DNA, or other traceable evidence. This level of caution suggested that the author was either familiar with forensic techniques or had carefully researched how to avoid detection. The vague nature of the letter's content led to widespread speculation. Some believed the actual perpetrator wrote them, while others theorized that they might be the work of a troubled individual seeking attention. The police found themselves in the difficult position of taking the letters seriously and considering the possibility that they were an elaborate, hoax.
You know, whenever this stuff happens, I hate it so much because it's usually some bloody attention seeker, you know?
Yeah, it's somebody who doesn't understand that they're throwing a wrench into the process. Or maybe it is somebody who knows what's really happened and wants to throw a wrench into the process.
Yeah, it often isn't. And it's like, come on, people, the police are confused enough already. Don't do more.
They're befuddled. As the investigation continued, the Chorney family clung to the hope that these cryptic messages might lead to answers about Erin's fate. The community of Brandon, once again galvanized by these new developments, renewed their efforts to support the family and keep Erin's case in the public eye. Erin Chorney's disappearance and supposed murder remained unsolved for nearly 2 years until the RCMP launched an elaborate Mr. Big Sting operation to elicit a confession from their prime suspect, Michael Bridges. The operation unfolded over several months, including a series of carefully orchestrated scenarios designed to gain trust and draw Michael Bridges into a fictional criminal organization. The operation began innocuously when an undercover officer posing as a marketing company representative approached Michael Bridges to participate in a survey. This initial contact laid the groundwork for what was to come. Shortly after completing the survey, Bridges was notified that he had won an all-expenses-paid trip to Calgary to attend an NHL hockey game, supposedly as a grand prize for his survey participation. In Calgary, Bridges was introduced to another contest winner, in reality an undercover RCMP officer, who would become his primary contact throughout the operation. This officer, whom we will refer to as Agent X, struck up a friendship with Bridges and revealed his supposed connections to a powerful criminal syndicate. Agent X's friendly demeanor and promises of lucrative opportunities piqued Bridges' interest, setting the stage for his gradual immersion into the fabricated criminal world. I mean, we've heard this story a million times.
This is just it. So if these people, these murderers, people like this, are such easy prey, so naive, right? Mm-hmm. To get pulled into Mr. Big Sting, like they're so weak-minded that way, right? Can't the police figure out good interrogation techniques up front that can be applied, that can do this a lot faster with a lot less taxpayers' dollars? Like, if they're this naive, come on, you can catch them in lies if you do this stuff properly. I actually think the RCMP just like to have the budget, the fun, and get to go to hockey games.
We're going to a Flames game today, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Big. Like, I think they just get off on this stuff, and they're like, okay, yeah, we know he did it, but let's do Mr. Big Sting because I want some Calgary Blue Jays. What do they call?
The Flames.
Calgary Flames tickets.
Oh boy! Over the following weeks and months, Agent X involved Bridges in a series of staged criminal activities. These scenarios were designed to be increasingly complex and financially rewarding, giving Bridges the impression that he was climbing the ranks of a sophisticated criminal enterprise. He was tasked with various jobs, such as counting large sums of cash, making deliveries of supposed illicit goods, and participating in credit card scams. For each of these activities, Bridges was generously compensated, further cementing his belief in the legitimacy and profitability of the organization. Throughout these scenarios, the undercover officers consistently emphasized loyalty, honesty, and trust within the organization. They created an atmosphere where Bridges felt valued and respected, contrasting his life before the sting operation. The officers also frequently referenced their boss, the mysterious Mr. Big, portraying him as an influential figure who could make any problem disappear, but who demanded absolute honesty from those in his inner circle. To reinforce the illusion of the organization's power and consequences of betrayal, the undercover team staged a violent scenario for Bridges to witness. In a motel room outside Winnipeg, they orchestrated a brutal beating of a female undercover officer who was posing as a gang member who had crossed the boss. The female officer even used blood capsules in her mouth to make it look even more violent. Bridges watched this staged violence from a car outside, undoubtedly impressed and perhaps intimidated by the apparent ruthlessness of the organization he hoped to join. As Bridges became more deeply enmeshed in the fictional criminal world, Agent X began to hint at the possibility of Bridges becoming a full-fledged member of the organization. However, he emphasized that this would require complete honesty about Bridges' past, including any crimes he may have committed. The undercover team cultivated an environment where Bridges believed that confessing to his past misdeeds was not only safe but necessary for advancement within the organization. They carefully crafted scenarios, building over months, and created a perfect storm of incentives for Bridges. He was offered wealth, respect, and a sense of belonging, all contingent on his willingness to open up about his past. The stage was now set for the final act, a meeting with Mr. Big himself, where Bridges would finally reveal the truth about Erin Chorney's disappearance and murder.
So Mr. Big is so well known by now, Mike. How does anyone ever fall for it anymore?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
I mean, they clearly don't listen to Dark Poutine.
Yeah, honestly. So if you're like a prospective murderer, give us a listen. Right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm hoping that's never the case. That they.
Me too. I'm just joking, of course.
Yeah. Over the months, Bridges had alluded to responsibility for Erin's murder. Before his meeting with Mr. Big, Michael Bridges met with Agent X to rehearse his confession to the boss. During this meeting, which was secretly recorded, Bridges provided a detailed account of how he murdered Erin Chorney. He admitted to choking her during an argument over assault charges she had filed against him. When she lost consciousness, Bridges panicked and decided to, quote, finish her off by strangling her with an electrical cord and submerging her head in water. In a chilling revelation, Bridges also disclosed that he had hidden Erin Chorney's body in a freshly dug grave at a Brandon cemetery. He even drew a map of the location. This information proved crucial as RCMP investigators were able to locate and exhume Erin Chorney's remains, providing vital evidence for the case.
Yeah, I mean, saying where the body is pretty vital evidence.
Right.
And postmortems and stuff like that.
So the only way they would have gotten there, they think, is with Mr. Big. But, I mean, I have seen police elicit confessions in other cases where they don't have to use Mr. Big.
I know. Or find evidence just...
Mm-hmm. So people will point to this and say, see, her family got closure because of this. Her family knew where she was.
I point and say, see, they could have gone harder on it at the beginning, saved lots of time and money, and they would have known sooner.
Yeah.
Right? So has anyone, when you worked at a cemetery, did anyone ever give you a kickback to try to hide a body?
No.
Okay.
The Mr. Big operation culminated in a staged meeting with the fictional crime boss in an upscale hotel room. This encounter was video recorded, capturing Bridges' full confession. In his statement, Bridges revealed his motive, stating that he knew he would go to jail for the assault charges and felt his life would be ruined. He chillingly remarked that he was, quote, too pretty to go to jail. The trial took place in 2005, with Bridges being convicted of first-degree murder. The key evidence in the trial came from the Mr. Big operation. During the trial, the prosecution presented evidence of Bridges' actions, including his attempts to destroy evidence and his lack of remorse immediately after the crime. According to the Winnipeg Free Press, the recordings of Bridges admitting his guilt to the undercover officers were chilling. Quote, I can't believe I said anything. I thought I was taking this to the grave, a relieved Bridges said in a February 5, 2004 audio tape confession played Friday at his first-degree murder trial. In the February 5th confession, Bridges said he and Chorney, 18, got into an argument that ended when he shoved her and she struck her head on a table, knocking her unconscious. I threw her a little too hard and I didn't think she would wake up, he told Agent X. In another audio tape confession he made on February 6th, Bridges provided a more detailed and gruesome account of Chorney's death. I just grabbed her by the throat and I didn't think I was going to do it to that extent, he said in the recording, which was also played to the jury on Friday. She was pretty much done. I'm pretty sure she was brain dead. She was like slowly wheezing. I didn't know what to do, so I took her to the bathroom, filled up the tub, and I just put her head in the tub." End quote. The Crown Attorney, Bob Morrison, emphasized in his closing arguments a reminder to the jury of Bridges' earlier statement that he was too pretty to go to jail and looked forward to starting a new life.
Yeah, ugh, you're not too pretty to go to jail.
No.
That's
gross, is what it is.
it's just quite interesting. It just doesn't seem to.
Well, it's about him, right?
He doesn't. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the fact that he's ended this woman's life. It's all about me, right?
Yeah. After deliberating less than 7 hours, the jury found Michael Bridges guilty of first-degree murder. Justice John Menzies, who presided over the trial, sentenced Bridges to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. The judge expressed alarm at the callousness of Bridges' actions and described him as having a cold and calculating criminal mind. In 2006, the Manitoba Court of Appeal swiftly upheld the first-degree murder conviction of Michael Bradley Bridges for killing Erin Chorney. Though his defense lawyer argued the crime was not premeditated and should be second-degree murder, the appeals court found the trial judge had properly instructed the jury on all options. Bridges had confessed to undercover police. The prosecution maintained that even if Bridges didn't initially plan to kill Erin, his decision to, quote, finish her off after choking her unconscious constituted the planning required for first-degree murder. The court determined that Bridges would continue serving his life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. Bridges was in the news again in 2014 when he requested a temporary absence from Stony Mountain Institution to see a gravely ill family member. However, the Parole Board of Canada rejected his application, citing concerns about public safety and the inmate's risk factors. The board noted that while Bridges had made some significant progress in his rehabilitation, he still exhibited problematic behavior that had not fully addressed his risk factors. Despite Bridges' argument that the visit could provide closure and support his rehabilitation, the board ultimately decided that the potential risks outweighed the benefits of granting the temporary absence.
He has to find closure in his own mind, not out here.
Right.
Like that's sort of like, you know what? You don't get to have your choice in the things that you need anymore. Right? It's you're going to have to figure out a way to have closure yourself, my friend. And he's not my friend. Because you've
sarcastically.
You've lost that right.
Yeah.
Right.
In March 2021, Michael Bridges appeared in a Brandon courtroom to seek early parole under the Faint Hope Clause for the 2002 murder of Erin Chorney. The Faint Hope Clause was repealed from the Criminal Code in December 2011, but Bridges could still apply under it as he was convicted before it was removed. The clause, or Section 745.6 of the Canadian Criminal Code, was a statutory provision that allowed offenders sentenced to life imprisonment with a parole eligibility period of greater than 15 years to apply for early parole once they have served 15 years. During the week-long hearing, Bridges took the stand and tearfully apologized to Erin Chorney's family, expressing remorse for his actions. He detailed his troubled upbringing, struggles with alcoholism, and the programs he had completed while incarcerated. The Crown cross-examined Bridges about his elaborate efforts to cover up the crime and his initial lies to authorities. After hearing testimony from various witnesses, including Erin Chorney's aunt and a prison fellowship representative, the jury ultimately decided in April 2021 that Bridges could apply for early parole in June 2026 instead of waiting until February of 2029. June 2026 is right around the corner.
Again, bad decisions from parole boards. I think this guy should stay in jail for a long time because few things, the way he killed her, right? Horrifying, and all the lies and cover-ups and everything else. It's just...
Well, the parole board didn't make this determination. It was made in court.
Well,
yeah.
They're all the same.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, so people are rehabilitated, Matthew. People get out.
There's a great photo online of him being arrested in the Mr. Big sting.
Yeah. You like that?
He looks very shocked.
Erin Chorney's time on Earth, though tragically cut short at 18, was characterized by her zest for life, her kindness, and her ability to find joy in the simplest things. Her legacy lives on in the hearts of those who knew her, a testament to a young woman whose bright spirit touched countless lives in her brief time. While grappling with an unimaginable loss, the Chorney family holds dear the moments of Erin's laughter, her creativity, and the love she shared so freely with the world. And that's it for Dark Poutine episode 344, Buried Evidence, the murder of Erin Chorney.
That's right. It's time for voicemails. You can leave us a message at 1-877-327-5786 or 1-877-DARK-PTN. We'd love to hear from you. Let's see who called us this week.
Alrighty. Here's our first voicemail.
Hey guys, my name's Amira. I'm calling from New York City, New York. I just love you guys so much. I'm a nurse and I love the dark humor. I love the true crime. I appreciate everything you do, and I just love hearing all of these references for Canada, which is an area I know nothing about. So I feel like I'm learning a little bit each podcast at a time. I also really, really, really love your emphasis on sobriety. And Sober Peep also, I have 2 years back, so I love hearing that in podcasts. And keep up the good work. Love hearing you guys. Matthew, your commentary always has me laughing. I was just listening to the Valentine podcast where you just start laughing when the police are up in the attic, and I was crying along with you. So thank you guys so much. Keep up the good work. And I'll keep on listening. Thank you.
It's all fun and games until there's cops in your attic.
Thank you, Amira. Is that our first ever call from
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So, Amira, I used to have, in the late 80s, a little place on the corner of Spring and Sullivan in Soho.
Spring and Sullivan.
Down in Spring and Sullivan, back when Soho still had some edge.
It still had some edge. Now, what is it, all blunted?
Yeah.
Everything's wrapped in bubble wrap.
It's like a big shopping mall now.
Oh, what a shame.
You know, you still had the dealers and the sex workers there, and we used to go to clubs back when the meat packing was actually meat packing district, right?
It had a little bit of color. It had a little bit of color.
You know, clubs like Amir is probably too young for this, but like there's a club called Save the Robots that I used to love going to.
Save the Robot.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Save the Robots. Yeah.
Oh, cool. All righty. Well, we know she's a nurse, so we don't have to give her a job. But, maybe she has a hobby, Matthew. Do you think Amira has a hobby or two?
I wonder if Amira can get me in to see some doctors for free in New York.
Maybe. I'm sure there's good doctors there.
I think her hobby is, her side gig is stand-up comedian.
Okay, there you go. Fair enough.
And she's also a jazz musician. She plays at the Blue Note regularly. So she's
there you go.
Multi-talented.
Multi-talented.
Yeah.
Here's another voicemail.
Hey, Mike and Matthew. My name is Kenny. I've been a long-time listener. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Just recently this year. And I just wanted to say you guys are probably one of my favorite true crime podcasts, especially for Canadian history. I love listening to you guys every Monday. It makes my Monday so much better. And so Matthew, you're from Strathroy. Well, I live in Exeter, if you know where that is. And I'm originally from Newfoundland. I don't have an accent because I moved up to Ontario when I was 9. But I've lived everywhere in Canada. I've lived in Alberta. I've lived in Ontario. So like Oshawa, Stratford, Kitchener, and then now in Exeter, and then Newfoundland. And I've touched every province, and I'm only 23 years old. So, I just want to say thank you guys for everything you guys do. You guys are really smart. And go take a shit in your hat, and have a good day, boys. Bye.
Well, thanks, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny. So Exeter's about, if you try to sort of head kind of north towards Goderich, Exeter, which is on the water, Exeter is about halfway.
Yep.
And honestly, yeah, maybe it's because I grew up there, and it's a lot of farmland and stuff like that. But southwestern Ontario, especially in the summertime, is just so beautiful. I love that area where he lives near Exeter, and there's like Clinton's near there, and it's just and Goderich is a lovely little town. Yeah,
We'll have to go back there at some point, Matthew. You can show me around because I've never been around that part of Ontario. Really.
We should like rent a cottage up in the Bruce Peninsula sometime. I want to show you that. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
Well, let's do something like that. But let's make a plan for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make a plan for that. What does Kenny do there in Exeter, do you think, Matthew?
Kenny is the CEO of a credit union.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does the credit union have a CEO? Because they're very...
Of course.
It's very socialist-seeming organization.
Yeah, but you need a CEO.
I guess. CEO of different things. Anyway. CEO of toilet papers.
Yeah.
CEO of the toilet papers.
If a credit union didn't have like a board of
leadership,
directors, Mike, I would probably not give them my money.
Right. Well, thank you for doing that, Kenny. Much appreciated. At 23, he's the CEO of
and did you know
union.
that Letterkenny, the TV show, was named after Kenny as well?
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because he sent them a letter saying that they should do a show. And it's Letterkenny.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
because there was a letter from Kenny.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Let's listen to our last voicemail.
Hello there. It's Michelle Weston, longtime listener, and download it all the time on my phone for long walks, long drives. Enjoy your show very much. And I believe, if I recall correctly, I was directed to your show by the CBC podcast playlist, I think, years ago. That's how I found you. At least that's what my memory prompts me to. And sadly, podcast playlist is no longer airing, but it was a good source for finding gems like you guys. But I'm phoning. No spoilers. I won't say anything, but I was watching the Traders Canada, kind of missed the intros, hopped onto the show halfway through maybe the first episode. I thought, geez, that voice is familiar. Don't recognize the face, but, oh, that voice. Why do I know that voice? And I kind of pondered and I thought and got a bit distracted from the show because I was thinking so hard about your voice. And then I figured out who it was. And all to say, I hope you had fun. It's probably finished filming or whatever, but I hope you had a good time. And again, no spoilers, but it was a delight seeing you in person after listening to you for so long. And I will continue to listen. So thanks for what you do, Mike and Matt. Very enjoyable, very informative, and it's always nice to support Canadians. So there you go. Take care. Oh, and I'm from Penticton, BC. I should have said that. Yes, I'm Canadian as well. Take care. Bye.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle Weston. Much appreciated. Wow. No spoilers, but yeah, that's me on the Traders.
Traders gets my blood pressure up.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, because I'll tell. I'm not no giveaways, but I feel like doing a gay on gay crime.
No. Oh no.
It's like, what? You little bitchy queen. How dare you to speak to my mic like that?
Oh, well, thank you, Matt.
Only I get to speak to my.
You don't, though. You've never spoken to me in that way.
Of course not. It's that. Oh my God, horrible human being, Michelle Weston.
Yes.
Because of her last name, she runs a food bank to try to counteract food prices in supermarkets that are owned by people like Galen Weston.
There you go.
She's trying to give good back into the Weston name.
Good for you.
Thank you for your service, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for listening. And keep watching The Traders Canada to see how that turns out. That's it for this week's voicemails. Again, you can leave us one at 1-877-327-5786 or 1-877-DARK-PTN. We'd love to hear from you, even if it is just to say hi and to tell us to go shit in our hats. If you're stumped for what to chat with us about, a quick story is welcome. Alrighty, it's time for Donut Money donors and Patreon. We don't have any patrons this week. We do not have
Patreon, but we do have donut.
We do have Donut Money. So our Donut Money donor...
I make me laugh, Mike.
Oh, boy. Is Megan Guimond, and she is from Sudbury, Ontario. I might be mispronouncing her name. Guimond is Guimond, I think. Guimond? Okay.
Guimond?
Meg Guimond. And she says she's in Sudbury, Ontario. She says, enjoy your Donut Money. Thanks for being a truly great Canadian podcast. I listen to you guys all the time. I love the variety and the material you present, and it's great to learn about Canadian history and true crime. Keep doing what you do. Also, valid question. If a lot of goose are geese, why are moose not meese? I always wondered. Ha ha. Have a good day and go poop in your toque. And yeah, so that I said that in a recent episode, and it's true. Why is English so weird? English is
because it develops over time,
I guess,
and it always changes.
Sure, sure. That's an English person would say that.
Well, all languages do that.
No, they don't. Matthew.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. Anyway, well, thank you so much, Meg. What do you think she does for a living, Matthew?
She's a chef. She owns a restaurant in Sudbury. It's called Guimond Gourmand.
Guimond Gourmand.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guimond Gourmand. That sounds actually really nice. I could use some gourmand.
They specialize in high-end live wild game food, like moose and deer and rattlesnake and stuff
moose
like that.
And squirrel?
Have you ever eaten squirrel?
I have not eaten squirrel. I have had moose, but I've never had squirrel.
I've had moose, I've had squirrel, I've had kangaroo, I've had snake.
You can get a crocodile burger in Surrey if you want to go eat some crocodile sometime.
I've had that, yeah.
What was crocodile like? I can't imagine. I just think
it's all a little bit like
gamey.
Yeah, you're kind of eating this just for the fun of it, right? Versus
I don't know, fun.
Well, I found it interesting trying new things.
I find it interesting trying new things. I just like we don't need to eat all the animals.
Yeah, what I was down in one of the stands, I can't remember which stand it was. I had horse.
Oh,
because that's something that they eat. So I had a local dish.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm a meat eater.
Yeah, I eat meat, but yeah.
I don't eat. The thing is, it's so weird how I become like, these shows that show like how animals are treated for food. Like, I don't watch them intentionally because me, Mike, I have a good heart and I love animals. I don't watch it because I know then I wouldn't be able to eat meat and it'd just be too complicated.
Well, it's the reason that we don't call beef cow, It's beef for a reason. We call it that because let's separate the idea of the thing from what it is.
Yeah.
Poultry. Yeah. Let's have some chicken, even though...
Okay, yeah, I have a question. If anyone out there knows the answer to this, please call in.
Okay.
I've been eating pork more lately because I'm trying to watch my pennies because of some things that are going on. Yeah. And pork is cheaper than chicken. How is that? How does that come to be?
I think you mentioned that on another show.
Oh, did I? Sorry. Yeah. Well, nobody's called in to give me the answer.
So, okay. Somebody who knows, call in and let Matthew know why pork is cheaper than chicken.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, please, somebody call us. 1-877-DARK Dark poutine. Yeah, anyway, you can look the number up.
It's just one of these conundrums.
It's one of those conundrums. Thanks to all our patrons and Donut Money donors, past and present, for your generosity. It helps to keep the show going. You can become a patron of Dark Poutine at patreon.com/darkpoutine. For a one-time donation, you can send us donut money via PayPal or interact using our email address, darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com. If you don't already subscribe to the show, it would mean a lot if you did. You can easily find Dark Poutine on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you haven't gotten yours yet, my 2 books are available to order via links on the Dark Poutine website or anywhere fine books are sold. And speaking of darkpoutine.com, check it out for show notes and other cool stuff. We'd appreciate it if you gave Dark Poutine a like or a follow on Facebook and Instagram. Most importantly, thank you for listening. Tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is a powerful thing.
Why are pomegranates $9 each right now?
Well, I don't know. It's the little fruity seeds in them.
Sorry, were you about to sign off and I interrupted you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sign off.
And that's it for this episode of Dark Poutine. So until next week, don't forget to be a good egg and not a bad apple.
Bye, everyone.